everyone, welcome back to The Learning Gardener. Today I just have a quick video for you today because we are waging war on the ticks. I have now been bitten 4 times in less than 3 weeks, and after my last video I ended up with a tiny tick that caused a huge amount of swelling in my head, and I have had enough. And I think some of them are coming from the chicken run because this is an area with a lot of shade, and from what I've learnt about ticks is obviously they like moist areas, and apparently if they're out of contact with some form of moisture for more than 30 minutes they die. How accurate that is I do not know, but obviously we've had an awful lot of moisture this winter, but we also had a lot of moisture last winter and the winter before, and we didn't have ticks hugely. Now, the first winter we lived in this house, I had 2 trees removed because they were infested with termites, and so I had the property sprayed for ticks before I put the veggie beds in, and then I haven't sprayed again since because I don't want to get toxins in the garden and on the vegetables and now in and around the chickens. So we're having to use natural methods. So there's nothing I can do about the moisture factor. It has thankfully been a lot drier. I would love to give the coop a massive clean out, but we have baby Betty in here, and I very rarely use diatomaceous earth because of the potential risk factors from a respiratory perspective, but I do like it to sort of spritz in the corners and in the cracks of the house and things like that, to really kind of kill things down a little bit. But I don't want to create a whole bunch of dust. Usually I will only diatomaceous earth when I am wearing a mask and when I am chicken free. So all the chickens apart from Betty White and baby Betty are outside, but baby Betty, if we let her outside, we'll never get her back. She's such a tiny little pork chop. So what I'm going to do first up is work some lime, some gardening lime into the top mulch all through here. Then we're going to attack with the plants, and we've got plants for the whole garden, but we're mostly going to focus in and around the coop because I have done a lot of planting of tick repelling plants elsewhere because I'm concerned about the puppies, and now we have the chickens, and I have to come down here a lot and I don't want to get another tick. So I have, obviously normally I wear long pants and a longish sleeve, but I've gone full sleeves today. I have doused myself in lavender oil because lavender is one of the things that apparently ticks do not like. But first I'm going to do the rest of the coop with the lime, and then at least baby Betty and Betty White can come out and have some time out here while the other chickens are outside. But I want the lime to be well and truly mixed in properly so that it doesn't burn their little footsies, especially baby Betty because she's so cute. So now we've got all the lime mixed in, we can let baby Betty and Betty White out for some activities. Betty White always just runs for the hills and leaves baby Betty behind. And now you're cleaning right where I want to be. Okay, whatever. But as soon as she gets out, Betty White is so excited about having a dust bath. She's just like any other mum. She's been trapped in 4 walls with her baby. She wants to do something else. In terms of the ticks, I've doused everything in lime and diatomaceous earth. What they should do is when it comes in contact with the tick or the mite, it should cause some drying out to occur and therefore lead to death of the critter. I've also freshened up the dust bathing bowl. Now ticks tend to hide in leaf litter, so this is problematic, but Betty White tends to kick stuff everywhere, so I'm sure in no time at all this will all be covered with another layer of dust because that is what she is most skilled at. As you can see, she's going to town right here. She couldn't even wait to get into the dust bath. But So diatomaceous earth done. We can't, because of Baby Betty, do anything like a neem oil spray or a pyrethrum spray that we could coat the chicken run in if the chickens were all outside and we have no Baby Betty. Cedar mulch, if you can get your hands on it, is supposed to be really, really helpful, and anything cedar scented for getting rid of particularly ticks. But same with eucalyptus oil and same with citronella oil. So I don't have any of that on standby. I only have the lavender oil. So as I said, I've doused myself in lavender oil. I'm not going to douse the coop in lavender oil. What I am going to do is I've ordered the oils, as I said. So once the cedar oil arrives, I'm just going to be like spray the entire place in it. So hopefully that will help and keep the mite and critter pressure low. But what we're going to do now, if we can get past Miss White, is we are going to do the next best thing. What I've got here is a mixture of charcoal, which is going to absorb the chicken's poo smell, which is not too bad at the moment because they've had a relatively fresh load of mulch in here, and I've obviously just turned it over, and the chickens have been doing quite a bit of digging lately. They like the new eucalyptus mulch, which again, hopefully the eucalyptus factor in it gets rid of some critters, but who knows? We're not going to rely on that. Betty White, you have a child, don't dig her into the ground. What we're just doing is spreading the charcoal around. The charcoal is so good at absorbing that ammonia poop smell. So that's not going to do anything from a critter protection perspective, just from a disgusting chicken's perspective. But I've also got a whole bunch of dried lavender and dried lemongrass. Now, you could debate the effectiveness of this because it's dried and therefore the oils have sort of changed, but without a whole bunch of oils in the house to spray this place in, this is my choice. The other thing is, I don't want to saturate the run, obviously, because it's not great, but I don't want to saturate it in the oils and the sprays, just because ticks really like moisture, so I'm sort of feeding the beast if I do that. But I will do that as soon as the oils arrive on our next super hot day, so that it dries out pretty quickly. But for now, I'm just going to spread this around. I'll put some of it in the nesting boxes, and hopefully it'll just maybe act as a slight deterrent, but it'll at least make the place smell a bit better. In terms of trying to avoid ticks, it's probably best to try and do so on a not windy day, because they do tend to just get blown around. But you kind of got the time you've got, and we're just going to clean up as much as we can. It's really nice that the coop actually doesn't stink. So I feel like we're doing well, at least on that front, but I just don't want to know about any more tick bites. I'm allergic to their saliva, and I want to try and have a cuddle with Baby Betty. Come here, Baby Betty. She's so cute. I'm still really erring on the side of hoping that she's a girl. She's got a few more feathers today. I'm a bit concerned that they're maybe all the same length, but it's a little bit early to tell. She's really only just a week old and very cute and tiny. And give her back to mum now. All the chickens are back in the coop, so we're going to move on to planting the natural insect repellents. I did forget to pick up some rosemary, but rosemary can be grown from cuttings, so I'll have to put that on the list of things to do. But the first thing I'm putting in is pyrethrum. So you guys might have seen this daisy around the garden, because we do have some mostly in the corners of the raised garden beds, so that if the puppies are running past, they brush up against the daisies, which is when you're going to get the benefits from the pyrethrum. The daisies themselves, you can pluck off the daisy heads, dry them out, and then you can mix them up to create like a spray, which we could eventually use down here, or you can just use it as a powder. I used it as a powder last year on an area where there was like 1 bajillion aphids, and it worked beautifully. Never seen any more aphids in that bed, so I would totally recommend this as a method. And then the other thing that I'm going to plant beside it, and I'm planting them quite close together because I haven't seen actually a lot of sun hitting this little garden bed that we planted alongside the chicken run in hopes that the pumpkins could come up from this side and over and create shade. But we're planting some thyme, so a lot of your herbs like thyme, sage, rosemary, they're all going to be really helpful and chicken friendly. Chickens tend not to eat pyrethrum, but I'm hoping like I will brush up against the pyrethrum, and maybe just the pyrethrum being here will be a deterrent. Again, leaf litter, not ideal. So this and what is already in the fire pit, as soon as we get a day that's not windy, I'm going to set fire to it, because that's going to be the most effective way to kill any ticks in it. And I've got to do that before we get to summer. I also don't want snakes living in the fire pit, and I've been waiting for ages for it to be dry enough to burn. But yeah, so far we've gone from wet to windy. Not ideal fire conditions in Australia. So hopefully these two on the corner here will get enough sun that they can thrive. 99% of your herbs, like your oregano, your thyme, your rosemary, are actually also really helpful for the chicken's health. So hopefully they'll have a little snack on that. But we need more pyrethrum everywhere. And when I knew that the garden centre had some pyrethrum, because I'd seen some there the other day and picked up 2, but we picked them all up yesterday. We bought all of them. So we're going to be stacking pyrethrum all around the garden and hope that we become wildly inhospitable to the ticks. So obviously any of these plants that I'm planting you can plant anywhere. It doesn't have to be related to chickens, and they will do the job. Tansy is another one that I've used in the garden before as a tick repellent. It produces a beautiful tight yellow ball flower that doesn't smell the best even when it's dried, but it dries beautifully. But grow it in a pot. I've grown it in a landscape and in a pot. If your ground is really compacted like mine is in the front yard, it's not too bad. If it's not compacted like it's not in the backyard, then you'll end up with rhizomes and it turns into a bit of a beast, and it gets really, really big. It's like almost as tall as I am, and it flops over in the wind. If it's in a pot, it's much more contained and organized. We are not planting any tansy today because I've only just ripped everything out, so I need to wait for the little ones to appear out the front before I can transplant them. But we've also got some wormwood here. This is again a really great insect repellent, mite repellent. It's really great for in your chicken nesting boxes, but really great throughout the garden as a pest repellent. It's also quite a nice blue silvery foliage. I'm not going to trim any more off and put it in the chicken run because I just did that the other day, but it does have quite a strong scent, and apparently you can actually use it as a medicinal herb, so there you go. But along here we've also got things like we've got the butternut pumpkins, we've got the oregano, we've got more thyme, we've got some borage, we've got some kale growing, so these are all like chicken snacks. So we're going to pop in, we've also got some lavender up there, we've got some sage here, which we are going to try and squeeze in, and I really need to do some watering through here. And I've been a bit slack on the watering, and I lost some of my tomato seedlings after I planted them because we've had so much rain that watering just doesn't really occur to me anymore, and so some things have dried out, especially things that are not established and don't have a nice deep root system. But this sage, like I don't eat a lot of sage, but hopefully it'll get a bit bushy, provide a little bit of sun protection. We do also have, as I said, the pumpkins here and the sunflowers here, and this wormwood should get pretty beastie, and we have one in front of the coop as well. So hopefully we'll get some natural shade coverage here and visual barrier from the dogs, but also hopefully the powers combined of all of these plants around the chicken coop will mean I stop getting mold when I come down here. So down here still looks a little bit rubbish, and some of that is because we've got things like emergency shade coverage for Betty White and the chick, and because I did trench digging when we had all that horrendous rain, and because grass just hasn't grown back. So part of me really wants the grass to just hurry up and grow back so this area looks a little bit more civilized, and part of me does not want it to hurry back because the mower is not working, and I'm not interested in whippersnippering and the dogs have to be inside for the chickens to be out and mow. So, and while the ticks are out, I don't really want to sit out here and supervise the chickens because otherwise they end up in the veggie beds. So we can only dig down so deep here because I've got chicken wire underneath so that nobody can dig in. And also these garden beds are supposed to be like a little bit of a barrier for predators, like make it harder and more rooted in for them to dig in and get in. But we're just planting another lavender here. Again, hopefully it'll be happy. I know this spot gets a little bit of sun in winter, but it's going to get torched in summer, so it'll be totally happy. And again, nice plant generally, gorgeous flower, pollinators love it. Also pest prevention. So we're back over at the asparagus bed, which we planted some dahlia tubers in as well, and this middle section will probably just be pumpkins or tomatoes. And if it's tomatoes, the native bees really like purple flowers and they're buzz pollinators. If you have purple flowers near your tomatoes, they come along, buzz and vibrate on your tomatoes and help them germinate. So what we're going to do is put the other lavender here on the corner and then pop one of the other pyrethrum just beside it. So this is also like a peak dog running area. I don't know why they like this area, but at least then they can brush past both tick repellents as we come through, and we'll have some beautiful flowers cascading over the edge. I'm not going to bother and put in any fertilizer. We did put chicken poo covered autumn leaves in this bed, and I thought they hadn't even started to break down yet, but when we were in here the other day putting the dahlias in, I was very surprised that in a matter of 5 or 6 weeks those leaves had completely broken down. And I guess some of that is because the chickens had sort of pre-broken up the leaves, but I guess they'd also covered them in their poop. And then we had a lot of rain and it kind of turned into a perfect compost situation. So this is a nice quick way to just add a bit of beautiful colour and function to the garden, and also get rid of your pests. I hope you guys have enjoyed this really quick video about things I am doing in the garden to reduce the tick pressure this season. I do need to come out and clip these beautiful royal maroon, which is like almost like a fuchsia purple sweet pea. They're absolutely gorgeous, but hopefully you can see down the bottom here we actually have a more mature pyrethrum plant. I have tried to grow these from seed so many times unsuccessfully, but we actually have a couple that have self-seeded along here, so I'm just going to give them a little bit longer to get established so that I can dig out something that has a proper root ball and redistribute them, because I don't need 3 or 4 or however many we've got just there, but they're a little bit too little to transplant at this point. But I'm in love with this arbor, and I'm also starting to feel the effects of the tick again, so I'm going to head inside. I hope you guys have enjoyed this quick video, and hopefully we will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.